Disclaimer: all testimonies shared on this channel are authentic, told by real people who have experienced them. They are shared to inspire faith, encourage repentance, and point souls back to God. Each story is personal and true to the individual.
My name is Ibrahim Suleiman, and I was born in Germany into a deeply devoted Muslim family. My father was respected in our community, a man who led prayers at the mosque and taught me from childhood that Islam is the only truth that will stand on Judgment Day. My mother would often remind me, "Ibrahim, never forget your prayers. Allah watches everything." From as early as I could remember, my life was patterned around discipline, faith, and duty. Before dawn, I would rise at the sound of the adhan echoing softly from my phone alarm. I would wash carefully, lay my mat facing Mecca, and bow in submission. There was a sense of peace, a feeling that I was doing what was right, that I was earning paradise one prayer at a time. As I grew older, I became even more devoted. I read the Quran daily, fasted faithfully during Ramadan, and avoided anything haram. To many around me, I was an example of obedience. Even at university, while others partied and chased after worldly things, I held to my faith with pride. I believed that by keeping all these laws, my name would be written among the righteous. Yet deep inside, I often felt an emptiness I couldn't explain. It wasn't sin, at least not the kind I could see. It was something else, a distance. I feared Allah but did not feel known by Him. I believed in paradise, but it always seemed unreachable, as if I would only know if I made it after death. That thought haunted me more than once. Life went on, and I thought I was on the right path, until one night that changed everything. It was winter. The air in Munich was sharp and cold. I had just returned home from evening prayers. I remember feeling unusually weak, as if the strength in my chest was draining away. My heart began to race violently, then slow down. I tried to call for help, but my voice failed me. Within moments, I collapsed beside my bed. The last thing I remember was the sound of my mother's voice shouting my name and the rushing footsteps of my younger brother. Then everything went silent, completely silent. There was no pain, no fear, only a strange awareness that something in me was still conscious, though my body was no longer responding. I could hear the chaos in the room, my family crying, someone calling an ambulance. Yet I wasn't there anymore. And in that moment of stillness, I realized that the life I thought was right was about to be tested by a truth I had never imagined. The moment my heartbeat stopped, I felt something indescribable, a sudden release, as though the weight of the world had slipped off me. It was peaceful at first, like drifting in warm water. Then I began to see. I stood in the middle of my own room, looking down at a body that lay still on the floor. My body. My mother was holding my head, sobbing uncontrollably. My brother was shouting my name, "Ibrahim! Ibrahim!" But I wasn't there to answer. I could see every tear, hear every word, yet I felt no pain, no heartbeat, no breath. I remember shouting, "I'm here! I'm right here!" But no one heard me. Not a single sound came from my mouth. My words disappeared into the air, as if they had no weight. That's when the truth struck me. I was dead. Confusion flooded me. I thought death would be like sleep, or darkness, or nothingness. But this was different. I was fully awake, more aware than ever before. The room glowed faintly, and a strange mist began to form near the ceiling. As I looked toward it, I felt myself being pulled upward, gently but with undeniable force. Soon I rose through the roof, as though it wasn't solid. My city, my street, my house, all faded beneath me. Then everything around turned black. I was no longer in Germany. There was no sky, no stars, no ground beneath my feet. Only darkness, thick, endless, and alive. At first I thought it was some kind of dream. I tried to remember my prayers, to recite verses from the Quran, but the words wouldn't come. My mind felt empty, my tongue heavy. All I could hear were distant echoes, voices weeping, screaming, whispering in fear. The sound grew louder the farther I went. I began to feel heat, not like earthly fire, but a suffocating, dry heat that seemed to pierce through me. I tried to move, but something was pulling me forward, deeper into that darkness. I cried out, "Allah, where am I?" But there was no answer, only the sound of souls crying, "Help us, please help us." The terror that filled me cannot be explained. It was not like earthly fear. It was as if every hidden sin, every secret doubt I had ever buried, was now screaming from within me. I felt stripped of every pretense, exposed before an unseen presence. Suddenly I began to see faint red lights flickering far below me, like flames scattered across a vast valley. The air grew thick with the stench of burning. Then I saw shadows, human shapes, countless of them, all crying, reaching, wailing. Some were shouting prayers in Arabic, others in languages I didn't understand. But their words brought no relief. One man called out, "We were faithful. We prayed. We fasted." Another shouted, "Why are we here?" Their voices blended into a single sound of despair. I stood there trembling, still not understanding what was happening. Then I heard footsteps, slow, echoing, as if something powerful was approaching. I turned, but there was no one visible. Instead, a deep voice filled the darkness around me. It wasn't loud, yet it shook my entire being. It said, "Ibrahim, where is your righteousness now?" I froze. The voice was not angry. It was filled with authority, like thunder hidden in calm wind. I tried to speak, but words failed. The voice continued, "You live for religion, but not for me. You honored laws, but you never knew the truth." I felt my soul tremble. I wanted to argue, to defend myself. I said, "I prayed, I fasted, I believed in you." Then came the reply, soft yet piercing like fire. "You believed in your works, not in the one I sent." The moment those words were spoken, I saw a flash of light far ahead in the distance. Bright, pure, unlike anything I had ever seen. Every part of me longed to go toward it, but something held me back, as if a barrier of darkness surrounded me. The cries grew louder behind me. I looked back and saw the shadows reaching upward, begging for mercy, but there was none. My heart broke with terror. I whispered, "Please, I don't want to be here." Then the voice said, "You will see, Ibrahim. You will see why you were brought here." And instantly I began to descend, not walking, not falling, but drawn, deeper toward the valley of torment that awaited below. That was when I knew I was about to witness what happens after death, what no man can fully describe. I cannot put into words the moment I truly saw the place where I had been taken. The darkness had lifted slightly, replaced by a terrifying burning landscape. It was vast, wider than any city, deeper than any pit I had ever imagined. Flames danced across jagged ground, yet they did not burn the souls themselves. Instead, the fire seemed to feed on their despair, their agony, and their endless regret. I hovered above it, unable to move closer, yet unable to look away. The cries of the countless souls echoed in my ears, endless, piercing, unbearable. Each wail carried their sorrow, their guilt, their disbelief. Some screamed in defiance, others begged for mercy. Their faces were twisted in horror, eyes wide with terror, mouths open in silent screams. As I looked closer, I began to recognize people, not strangers, but familiar faces. There were men and women from my community, my mosque, even teachers I had admired. All of them were trapped here, crying and pleading for a mercy that would not come. Some of them had prayed their whole lives, yet their prayers had been empty, their hearts untouched by truth. A man's voice rang out clearly through the chaos. "I fasted, I prayed, I gave to charity. Why is this happening to me?" Another cried, "I followed the teachings of my faith. I lived as I was told." I trembled. I wanted to shout, "We all prayed. We all fasted. How can this be?" But no words could escape my lips. And then a horrifying realization struck me. The place was not for those who had sinned openly, but for those whose hearts had rejected the truth. I began to see the difference between religion and salvation, between human effort and divine mercy. The fire and screams were not chaotic. They were orderly, almost deliberate. Each soul was exactly where it belonged, a place shaped by their choices, their pride, their misunderstandings. I saw scholars, imams, ordinary men and women, all crying out, all realizing too late that obedience without truth was worthless. I tried to look away, but my eyes were drawn forward to the center of this place. There a wall of light stood, impossibly bright, pure, and yet so far away. Unlike the fire and shadows surrounding it, this light seemed calm, welcoming, full of love. My soul instinctively reached toward it, but the barrier of darkness surrounding the souls below was thick, almost impenetrable. I heard whispers around me. "We were faithful. We followed the law. Why are we here?" Each voice pierced my heart. I realized these were people I had judged in my own mind during life, thinking myself righteous, thinking I would be safe, thinking God would overlook the truth of our hearts. And now I was seeing that judgment was precise, holy, and uncompromising. Then I felt it, a pull from the light ahead. A voice, gentle but commanding, called my name. Ibrahim. I turned instinctively, but all I could see were more cries, more shadows, more fire. The light remained distant, yet unmistakable. I wanted to go to it, yet I feared what awaited me if I did not pass whatever test lay between me and that light. I realized I was standing at a threshold, between terror and mercy, between darkness and light. And in that moment, I understood something I had never known in life. Faith without truth is hollow. Obedience without the one true Savior leaves the soul lost. My heart raced. I knew that I could not stay among the cries, the fire, the lost souls. And yet I did not know how to cross over to the light. Then came a sound, a deep, steady voice, calm and powerful, cutting through the wails. Ibrahim, you will see why you were brought here. Watch, listen, and understand. For your life is not yet ended, and your story is not yet complete. I felt a trembling mix of fear and hope. I did not know what awaited me next, but I knew one thing. My life, my faith, my understanding of God would never be the same. As I hovered on the edge of that terrifying realm, the cries of lost souls echoing behind me, a presence began to make itself known. It was not a shape I could see with my eyes, nor a sound I could hear with my ears. Yet it was there, undeniable, overwhelming. The darkness seemed to part slightly around it, and suddenly a voice spoke my name. Ibrahim. It was calm yet filled with authority. I froze. The sound penetrated every part of me, body, mind, and soul. It was a voice that did not threaten, yet made every lie, every self-justification I had ever held seem small and meaningless. Ibrahim, you were never mine. My heart clenched, though I had no heartbeat. I wanted to argue, to shout that I had prayed, fasted, given alms, followed every law. I wanted to remind him of my devotion, the sacrifices I had made, the long nights I had spent in prayer. I obeyed you. I served. I did everything right. I wanted to cry, but no sound came. The voice continued, calm but unyielding. You obeyed laws, but you rejected the one I sent. You followed religion, but you never knew me. You trusted in your works, not in my Son. I could not comprehend. My mind raced. My entire life had been spent trying to be righteous. I had followed every commandment I knew, and yet the voice told me it was not enough. You loved the rules more than the truth. You feared judgment, but you never sought my mercy. You were faithful outwardly, but your heart never embraced me. Tears, or something like tears, flowed through me, though I had no body to cry with. I began to understand the magnitude of my error. All my prayers, all my fasting, all my devotion, they were not meaningless, but they were not the path to salvation. I had clung to obedience without knowing the one who gives life. Then through the darkness, I saw a faint light ahead. It was unlike anything on earth, pure, radiant, and still. My soul was drawn toward it instinctively, and though I wanted desperately to go to it, the cries of the souls trapped below held me back. I could feel the weight of their anguish pressing on me, as if to warn me what awaited those who refused the truth. Ibrahim, the voice called again, soft but piercing. I am giving you mercy. You will return, but you must see the truth with your own eyes. You will know what awaits the souls who follow their hearts without me. I wanted to beg, to cling to this mercy, but I was powerless. The voice continued. Watch, learn, and understand. You will live to testify. You will carry my message to those who still have time. At that moment, I felt a profound combination of terror and hope. The cries, the fire, the shadows. They were all real, all terrifying, all unavoidable. And yet there was a promise of light, of mercy, for me if I could grasp the truth that had eluded me in life. I realized then that my journey was far from over. I was on the threshold of understanding, a threshold that would show me the difference between faith as a ritual and faith as salvation, between obeying laws and embracing the living God. And as I floated there, trembling, I knew one thing for certain. I would never be the same again. The moment I saw the light, I knew immediately that it was nothing like anything on earth. It was pure, radiant, and gentle, yet it carried a power so immense that it made the darkness surrounding it feel insignificant. My soul longed for it, yet I hesitated, for behind me were the cries of the lost, the shadows of despair, and the fire that consumed those who had rejected the truth. Fear and awe battled inside me. Then I saw him. Not in full form at first, just a figure, radiant beyond imagination, standing in the brilliance of the light. Every word of prayer, every devotion I had performed in life, seemed to shrink in comparison to the holiness emanating from him. And I knew deep in my being that this was Jesus. The presence was so overwhelming, yet it radiated love, patience, and mercy, a combination I had never known. The figure spoke, though it was not with a voice like humans use. It was a voice that penetrated my very soul. Ibrahim, you have walked a path of obedience, yet your heart was distant from me. You feared me, but you did not know me. Your works alone cannot save you. I fell to my knees, not physically, but my soul bowed. I tried to speak, but my words failed. I wanted to tell him that I had done everything right, that I had prayed, fasted, and given to charity. But the truth of the moment struck me harder than any words ever could. I had followed laws, rituals, and human interpretations of faith, yet I had never embraced the one who saves. The figure extended a hand of light, and I felt a warmth flow into me, a warmth that carried forgiveness, love, and acceptance all at once. I began to see flashes from my life, not as I remembered them, but as he saw them. The prayers I performed dutifully, yet without love in my heart. The fasting, performed out of fear rather than devotion. The acts of kindness, good in themselves but lacking recognition of the living God who grants mercy. Each scene was a mirror that exposed the truth I had avoided. My heart ached. I realized how far I had been from salvation, even though I had thought myself close. Then he spoke again, softly but with undeniable authority. Ibrahim, you are seeing mercy because I am giving it, not because of what you have done, but because I am gracious. You have been shown what awaits those who reject the truth. You will return, and your testimony will save others. I wanted to ask for everything: forgiveness, understanding, a chance to change. And somehow I understood that I had been granted all of it. The love I felt was overwhelming, almost unbearable in its purity. It penetrated every part of my soul, melting fear, pride, and confusion. In that moment, I realized the difference between religion and salvation. Religion had been my shield, my routine, my identity, but salvation, true life, came only through him. My heart trembled, and tears of realization poured from my soul, unbidden. Then came a new revelation. I was shown not only my life, but the lives of countless others, people who had followed the rules yet missed the truth. I saw their torment, their regret, their disbelief, and I understood that my mercy was a gift, an opportunity to speak the truth before it was too late. And as I hovered there, suspended between the light and the darkness, I knew something else. I could not remain Ibrahim Suleiman in the same way I had been. My faith, my identity, my understanding, All had been transformed in an instant. A new name, a new purpose, a new life awaited me. The figure of light remained before me for a moment longer, radiating love, mercy, and quiet authority. Then slowly I felt the pull back toward my body. I did not resist. I understood that I would return, not to the world I had left, but to the life that now had a deeper meaning. And even as I felt the darkness of the return, I carried the light within me, a light that would guide me, change me, and give me a new name. Samuel, the one who has been heard. The next sensation was like falling into a void, sudden, rapid, and terrifying. One moment I was enveloped in radiant light, filled with awe and mercy. The next I was being pulled back toward the darkness of the physical world. My spirit resisted, clinging to the warmth and love I had just experienced, but the pull was irresistible. I felt my soul descending, faster and faster, until my awareness collided with my body. Then with a violent gasp, I was back. My eyes shot open to a world I thought I had left behind forever. Beeping machines and fluorescent lights assaulted me, and the sharp scent of antiseptic filled my nostrils. My chest heaved as if it had been through a war I could not explain. Doctors and nurses crowded around me, shouting and pressing on my chest, but I could barely comprehend their movements. I looked at my own hands, pale, weak, trembling. I touched my face, feeling skin, hair, and the unbearable reality of being alive again. The room was the same, yet nothing was the same. Every sound, every color, every movement seemed muted compared to the vividness of what I had just seen. My mother's voice broke through the haze. "Ibrahim, you're back! Thank God!" Tears streamed down her face, mixing relief with disbelief. My younger brother grabbed my arm, shaking it, shouting my name. I wanted to tell them everything, every vision, every voice, every flame and shadow, but the words stuck in my throat. How could I explain the unimaginable? How could I tell them of the merciful light, the figure of Jesus, the souls crying in the flames, and the voice that had pierced my very being? The doctors shook their heads at the monitor. "He was dead for 20 minutes, one whispered. 20 minutes. It felt like eternity. I wanted to scream. It was more than 20 minutes. It was infinite. It was real. Yet I could only lie there breathing, my heart still racing, overwhelmed by the memory of what I had seen. Days passed. My body healed slowly, but my mind could not rest. I would wake at night, shivering, hearing the cries of the lost and seeing the brilliant light. I wanted to pray, to return to the faith I had known all my life, but everything had shifted inside me. I knew that my devotion as Ibrahim Suleiman, however sincere, was no longer enough. Something inside me had been awakened, a hunger for truth I had never experienced. I began to study, to read, to search with a desperate intensity. And then I found him, not through fear, not through ritual, not through duty, but through relationship. The words of Jesus were alive, cutting through every doubt and pride, speaking to the same soul that had seen mercy and judgment. I knew in my heart that my life had been forever changed. I could no longer be Ibrahim Suleiman in the same way. The prayers I had once relied upon were no longer sufficient. The laws I had obeyed could not save me. I needed him. I needed the one who had shown me mercy, the one who had called my name in the darkness. And so I chose a new name, Samuel, a name that meant God has heard, a declaration of what had happened to me and what I would now carry for the rest of my life. When I finally spoke about it, no one believed me at first. My family, my friends, even my closest companions. They thought I had hallucinated, imagined, or gone mad. But I knew the truth. I had seen it. I had felt it. I had lived it. And I knew my mission, to tell the world what awaits those who rely on works without knowing him, and the mercy that is offered to those who accept the living God. I had returned to my body, but I was no longer the same man. Ibrahim was gone. Samuel had been born. The days that followed my resurrection were the hardest I have ever lived. My body had recovered, but my spirit was restless, burning with conviction and yet trembling under the weight of what I had seen. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw faces, countless faces, of men and women crying out from the flames, pleading for one more chance. Their voices echoed through my mind like waves of grief. And then there was the light, the face of the one who called me by name, the one who showed me mercy when I deserved judgment, the one who had said, "You will return and testify." At first I kept silent. My family rejoiced that I had survived, but I could sense the distance between us. I was no longer Ibrahim, their obedient son who followed the prayers and customs without question. I was different. My eyes had seen what words could not describe. One evening I sat alone in my room, holding my prayer beads. The sound of each bead clicking between my fingers reminded me of the years I had prayed without truly knowing to whom I prayed. My heart ached. I remembered my father's words when I was a child. "Ibrahim, our path is the only truth." And yet I had seen the truth beyond that path. Tears filled my eyes. "God," I whispered, "I have followed you all my life, but I never knew you. Reveal yourself to me fully. I cannot live divided between what I saw and what I was taught." In that moment, peace descended over me, not the fragile peace of silence, but the living, breathing peace of presence. I opened the Bible that a nurse had given me when I left the hospital, a book I had refused to touch at first. My hands trembled as I turned the pages. My eyes fell on John 14:6. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." The words struck me like thunder. It was the same voice I had heard beyond the light, the same authority, the same love. I wept uncontrollably, realizing at last what had been revealed to me. The truth I had seen was not a vision of confusion, but a revelation of salvation. I fell to my knees sobbing, "Jesus, forgive me. I didn't know you, but you knew me. You called me by name when I was lost." And right there, in the quiet of that small room in Germany, I surrendered everything. The identity I had held for so long, the pride of my heritage, the fear of rejection. I laid it all down. I felt the warmth of that same light I had seen beyond death envelop me again, gentle and reassuring. From that day, I stopped answering to the name Ibrahim Suleiman. That man had died, not just physically, but spiritually. I rose again as Samuel, the man who had been heard by God. When I finally shared my testimony publicly, the reaction was mixed. Some listened in awe, others in anger. Old friends turned away. My own family refused to speak to me for a time. I understood their pain, but I could not deny the truth. People asked me why I risked everything for this message, and I always told them the same thing. Because I have seen where the lost go, and I have seen who saves. I traveled across towns and cities, sharing my story with anyone who would listen. Not to condemn, but to warn, to awaken, to plead for souls before it is too late. I saw the same darkness that once claimed me still holding many captive, but I also saw light breaking through. Every time I spoke, I remembered the flames, the cries, the mercy. I remembered the one who pulled me out of death and gave me life again. Now I lived not for myself, but for the truth I encountered. The truth that no ritual, no law, no good works can save, but only the living Christ who calls every soul by name. I am Samuel. Once I died as Ibrahim Suleiman, bound by fear. Now I live as Samuel, free by grace. And this is my message to the world. Hell is real, heaven is real, and mercy still speaks. I speak these words not to condemn anyone, but to awaken every soul that still breathes. My journey to death was not an accident. It was a divine interruption. I was gone for 20 minutes, but in those minutes, eternity opened before me. I saw the lost, not because God hated them, but because they chose the wrong truth. I saw the mercy of Christ, not because I deserved it, but because he willed to show it. I remember the moment I stood before the light, when I realized that religion cannot save and that good works cannot buy eternity. In that moment, everything I had ever trusted, my rituals, my prayers, my zeal, became dust before the presence of the one who is truth himself. Many people have asked me, "Samuel, are you saying all Muslims go to hell?" I tremble before answering that question. I do not claim to be anyone's judge, but I saw where those who reject Christ go. I saw where those who rely on works rather than grace go. I saw where those who deny the Son of God end up. And I can tell you, it is a place no human being was ever created to enter. My message is not of condemnation, but of invitation. An invitation from the same Jesus who showed me mercy, to you who are listening now. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, atheist, or anything else, this truth stands unshaken. There is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. Acts 4:12. I speak now as a man who has died and returned. I saw the fire, and I saw the light. I saw despair, and I saw hope. And I tell you with every breath in me, heaven and hell are real. Every breath you take is grace. Every sunrise is another chance to make peace with God. Do not wait for a second chance beyond the grave, because there is none. Death does not change the heart, it only reveals it. When I died, I saw the reality of eternity. When I returned, I realized how blind I had been. But you still have time. If only you could feel what I felt when the light called my name. If only you could understand the love that reached for me even after I had spent years in ignorance and pride. That love is reaching for you right now. You don't need a perfect record. You don't need to fix your past. You only need to open your heart and say, Jesus, I need you. He will come. He will forgive. He will make you new. Because I, Samuel, once Ibrahim Suleiman, am a witness that grace is real. Mercy is real. Salvation is not a religion. It is a person. His name is Jesus Christ. Let me pray with you. Heavenly Father, I thank you for every person hearing my voice right now. I pray that their hearts be open to the truth that saves. Let the light that pulled me out of death reach them wherever they are. Forgive their sins, Lord, and reveal your Son to them. Deliver them from deception, from fear, from darkness. May they know the love that rescued me, the love of Jesus Christ. In his holy name, I pray, amen. I was gone for 20 minutes and eternity was shown to me. If I could shout one message to the world, it would be this: do not wait until it is too late.